Responds to Donald Trump, he says, first of all, that is not government policy. The video of Julius that was being played, he says it's not government policy and neither does his political party condone it. Now, I want to go through that video of the White House. That video was taken in August 2020. This is late lockdown moment. And the location is a rural area called Normandin in KZN, precisely in Newcastle, England. Secondly, he tried making him understand that in South Africa, there is what we call a multi-party democracy, which is unlike the United States where you only have the Democrats and the Republicans. As you know, Donald Trump's claim that every cross represented a white dead farmer is not true. Very lastly, Julius Malema, who's at the very center of all this talk, tweeted as well, and this is what his tweet said. Greetings to all. I hope and trust you're all doing okay. You already know what's happening. I'm sure everybody's seen the news on what's probably the most trending current affair in the world of politics. An ambush is what most people are calling it. As you guys know, the South African president was invited over to the White House for a meeting with President Donald Trump. And so I'm doing this analysis to put certain things in place because there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding happening with the whole thing that has happened. So I'm going to go over the whole situation and we're going to look at a few tweets from our political leaders and etc. And we're going to get clarity on some of the evidences provided. Now, allow me to first begin with this tweet. I'm taking this from a fellow South African citizen. He made this tweet on Twitter. He said the following. He said, "What happened in that room is the greatest assault on Africa's dignity, sovereignty, and liberation legacy. They literally handed over our country. What a shameful state of affairs. Any proud South African watching that drama must have felt the shame deep in their heart." That is from Ambuyiseni Ndlozi on Twitter. So now, for brief, what happened was President Cyril flies over to the United States, received by President Donald Trump, and in the middle of the meeting, the very main purpose of that meeting was then established, which was to announce the genocide, the allegedly white genocide happening in South Africa. Now, I want to make the fact clear that as President Cyril, he didn't know, right? But that's not the point still. I want to clarify the fact that if you watch that video closely, when Cyril responds to Donald Trump, he says, first of all, that is not government policy. The video of Julius that was being played, he says it's not government policy and neither does his political party condone it. Secondly, he tried making him understand that in South Africa, there is what we call a multi-party democracy, which is unlike the United States where you only have the Democrats and the Republicans. You know, South Africa had a few delegations, including Johan Rupert, who is a successful businessman. He also put in input into the whole situation. Now, many people have a problem with the fact that he spoke, but we're going to tackle that later on. Then Donald Trump takes out these evidences, which is where I want to remain in this video for quite some time. He takes out a video, and I'm going to analyze the evidences that he took out, right? He takes out all these images that is showing President Cyril, and it's like, this is what's been happening in the country. Now, for purpose of clarity, many articles have shown that those images were not only from South African killings. Some of those are events that happened in the DRC. Some of those are events that happened in South Africa. So there was a bit of a mixture in there. What's most interesting here was the second one, where he took out an image of white crosses placed all along the sides of the road with a lot of cars in between, which was a protest. And Trump claimed that this protest was for the white killings that was happening to the white farmers, right? And he says every white cross you see represented a person, a white person that died from that all riot. I want to make something clear, and I want us to go through that very quickly on the situation of the white crosses, because as you might have noticed, even Cyril, President Cyril, was astonished by that image, and he even asked President Trump on where and who gave him that, and they should let him know where that area is. Now, I want us to go through that video of the white crosses very quickly. Now, for purpose of clarity, that video was taken in August 2020. This is late lockdown moment. And the location is a rural area called Normandin in KZN, precisely in Newcastle. That is where this video was taken. Now, the protest was for two white people who had been murdered in their farm home along with their dog. There was a progressing white couple staying in that area, and they were both brutally murdered by intruders. Now, that protest was done by the people of that community to make the government of South Africa aware, because at the time, that was about the 7th murderer in the very same year that took place in that area. And this is, you can check out Eyewitness News for more on this. I believe there's a gentleman who's providing a lot more information on that. So what was happening was the protest, as I said, was the people trying to make the government aware of the killing, as that was about the 7th murderer of a white farmer in about just a year. So they were trying to create that awareness around the police and around the government of South Africa to give them attention. It happened in late September, to be precise, the murder of these people. And then in August, early August, I think the 5th of August 2020 is when that protest was held. That protest was held, and it was in KZN, as I said, in the area called Normandin in Newcastle. Now, a week after this had been done, the Minister of Police, he held a meeting with all the white farmers of that community, addressing them, and he also had an open dialogue with them, where they voiced out their concern. Again, a reporter from Eyewitness News was in attendance, and he confirmed all this. Now, this happened in the 2nd of September. The minister was there, and everything happened accordingly. This is to show that the government actually gave attention to that problem, because there was an incident that said that people, or rather the government, did not care much about what was happening to these white people. But that's not true, because the minister was there and he addressed the situation and had an open dialogue with all these people. Now, that is precisely what happened in that area. As per Donald Trump's claim that every cross represented a white dead farmer is not true. That was simply them creating awareness onto the government. As I said, Johan Rupert was also in attendance of that meeting. So many people have a problem with him. Some claim he was given too much importance and etc. But surprisingly, Gayton McKenzie quoted, and I'm going to read his tweet. He put this up the very next day, and he was speaking about Johan Rupert, and he said the following. He said, "Rupert is not who we think he is. He's a true patriot. He loves this country, and I would be the first to admit that I was wrong about him. He spoke up against killing on flats, he spoke against illegal foreigners, but most importantly, he stood up for South Africa. He's a gem." That is Gayton McKenzie's take on the whole Johan Rupert situation being there and all, which I find interesting, because according to various recent reports, it is said that Patrice Motsepe is allegedly up to being the next South African president. Now, that would mean, again, Johan Rupert still being around the whole presidency conversation, because, those are his business partners, as you would know. Now, very lastly, Julius Malema, who's at the very center of all this talk, tweeted as well, and this is what his tweet said. "A group of older men meet in Washington to gossip about me. No significant amount of intelligence evidence has been produced about white genocide. We will not agree to compromise our political principles on land exploitation without compensation for political expediency." Now, that was Julius. He's owning up to what he said, but also I want to make one thing clear, which is that he did not go ahead and because if you watch the video, what he was saying in the video was kill the Boers and etc. Those that have seen the video. So it's not like he went out and he did exactly what he was saying after that protest, right? Although he's justifying himself the way that he did in Twitter, and knowing Julius, you would expect that type of answer. But it's fair to say he still has the credibility of the fact that he did not murder the white people, at least not yet, as he says in an interview that's also been circulating lately. So you guys let me know what you think about the whole situation, about Julius, about President Cyril's response to President Donald Trump, and your overall take on the current state of things in the country. Thank you.